Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm Sean Schoenmakers, the owner of ActionCOACH Dallas, where we're helping business owners build and grow their businesses, which is always fun, but really ultimately to improve their lives. And today we've got a special guest. So check that last name, Scott Simson. How you doing this morning, Scott?
I'm doing well, Sean, and you said my last name better than I would probably say yours. So,
Oh yeah, don't even give it a try. It's all good. Sometimes I mispronounce my last name. So, yeah, Scott Simpson's on with us, and he is the owner of Raffiti Media, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what they do and the magic behind that business, as well as maybe some other businesses they got going on. And so we're excited to have you on, Scott. If you're in the audience and you're watching this for the first time on the channel, just make sure you like, subscribe, do all those things so you can get the notifications when we drop more of these valuable conversations into the channel. And so without further ado, Scott, maybe you could just give us an introduction to your company and can you tell us the problems that you solve?
yeah, so Raffiti Media is a full service YouTube agency. We work with business owners, enterprise, mostly medium and large enterprise companies that are looking for a YouTube department, someone who can come in and say, "Hey, do you know how to do this right? We're going to outsource our entire YouTube efforts to you." And is a huge need in the industry simply because most people just they attack social media as like one unit when every social platform has its own nuances, its own algorithms, its own unique way of approaching. It needs its own unique way of approach. And YouTube specifically is one of the most powerful platforms on the planet because it's a search engine. Every other social media platform is timeline oriented. And so what you post today is going to be gone, by 2, 3 days from now, or they're going to have to do the
By
mile
11
long
o'clock,
scroll.
yeah, by the next hour, most likely.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And the cool thing about YouTube is like people can find your content forever, and especially like podcasts. Podcast. Everybody wants to do a podcast, but most people aren't posting their podcasts on YouTube. You should be because it's like one of the only ways that your podcast can get discovered is through the YouTube search engine. So anyway, we fill that need. I come from a background of being a full-time YouTuber, so everything that I teach, everything that I do, comes from personal experience. I've got hundreds of millions of views personally under my belt, and those are the things that we take and um we teach our clients. We help our clients create content strategies that will work for them and not just become a digital billboard, which is what most companies do now.
Yeah. And yeah, we have a client that is we look at his dashboard and we'll check and say, hey, what's been bringing in all the business? And so you can see all the different bars and how much money it is and the source. And there's, of course, 10, 12, 15 different sources. And, but one of the conversations we've been having more so this year as he's been growing and growing and growing is, hey, at some point we're going to need specialists, right, on those individual sources because, and as each source starts to grow and it's tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, like that's kind of like another small business, right? So you need someone who's got the real competency in that specific strategy or that go-to marketing thing or YouTube, right? Like so yeah, I could see where, as you said, the medium to larger size businesses, you guys can be a very valuable asset to them to just take it over, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's good. Yeah, good stuff. And so we like to ask Scott, how and why? How and why to start this business? What made you think, you know what? Let's do it.
I've always been a service-oriented entrepreneur. My first few businesses were very much like service-oriented. I wanted to help people. I worked for a guy who flipped houses. I had a little company that came in, it was like a handyman service. I liked going in and being able to start a project and finish a project and see, go through all the steps and then look at it and be like, ah, that was me. I did that. One of my most fond memories was I was doing, a house flip project, and this guy who was flipping the house, he's like, "Hey, I want a railing in the front porch." And I built the railing. And by hand. I did it all by hand, and I was 19 years old. And when it was all painted, it made this house. They painted it white. The house was like a hunter green, and when it was all done, it looked amazing. And the fulfillment, and satisfaction that I had from doing that project was it stuck with me for 20 years. Um, and it'll be something I remember fondly for the rest of my life because it's just every time I drive by that house too, like I look at it, I was like, that was my railing. I did that. I built that. Uh, and that's what I like to do with our clients. I like to come in and I like to see the holes that they want filled or the big dreams that they have, and I like to help them achieve that through our products, our services, through my SOPs that that our team uses, through the actions that we take, and that's really the why. It's like I find deep, immense satisfaction in helping people achieve their dreams, achieve their goals through YouTube. And it just happened to be that YouTube is the medium because it's something that my family and I have been doing for years. I've been on YouTube since 2009. We were professional YouTubers, full-time YouTubers, whatever that means, from 2017 to 2019. And and then in 2019, the algorithm changed and it resulted in us losing about 80% of our YouTube revenue overnight. I would say overnight, within the course of a month or two, it's just significantly dropped. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, let's take what we've learned and go and help other people do it. And turns out there's a huge demand for it. So we're um we're tapping into new audience and talking to new people all the time, and everybody needs YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching whatever I was watching on YouTube, and I'm like, YouTube is, I don't know what percentage of people probably don't watch TV. They watch YouTube videos, and there's so much content, of course, out there that, I mean, you could watch it endlessly for probably years at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such a huge. I feel like it's only going to get bigger in terms of the amount of content out there and so forth.
We think,
So basically, yep.
oh, sorry. I was going to say, there are 200 billion daily shorts views.
Hmm.
There are 8 billion people on the planet, right?
Yep.
Like you think about that in terms of how many people are watching.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say that the combined viewership of YouTube the combined audience, like everybody piled up watching all, YouTube TV and YouTube premium YouTube, just in general, YouTube shorts at any given moment. If you were to take all the other streaming services combined, it is a multiple of how much time people spend on these different platforms. YouTube
Hmm.
dominates everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's again, what? So you love servicing, doing service. Talked about painting the railing on the house, but you guys already had the competency related to YouTube, and so once environment changes, you know what? Let's go serve people through YouTube, and that's what you guys are doing. So love that. So you mentioned a few different people you guys work with or that you serve.
Yeah.
Who does your business primarily serve? So if I'm in the audience, how do I know if I'm a good fit for your service?
Yeah, we have two core audiences. We are two core avatars. We have owner founders, right? CEOs, people who are looking to build their personal brand, and then we have enterprises. For the most part, I would say 80% of our business is enterprises who are looking to drive leads with YouTube. 20% is founders looking to grow their personal brands. Um, and we try to promote specifically to businesses, and then we take whatever it is that they're looking to do. So our core audience or our core avatar is someone who is looking to grow for business purposes.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have a business, own a business, and you want to grow the business, that's a good fit for you. Yep.
Come talk to us. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Conversations are always good. Um, what makes your business unique? So if someone is looking for help on YouTube, or they see that there's two, three, five different maybe businesses they could try to tap into to get progress on YouTube, why do your customers choose you guys, Scott?
Well, we've actually, I mean, at this point, 6 years in, we've been around for the most part longer than almost anyone. And we have a proven track record of success. But everybody can say that. Everybody's got, case studies. I think the thing that makes us different is that I've personally built YouTube channels to be successful. The things that I teach come from real world experience. I'm still building YouTube channels personally. Um, I own faceless YouTube channels. I have personal brand YouTube channels. I've got project channels. I've got all sorts of, crazy experiments going on at any given time, which gives me real data to work with. Most other companies, and I'm not going to like point fingers at anybody, but most other companies, they either have a founder that has no idea what they're doing with YouTube. They're just like, hey, everybody wants YouTube. We're going to offer YouTube,
Mm.
or it's someone who has a very unique specialty and they specialize in one individual niche. We've worked with hundreds of business owners and we have experience in probably 70 different YouTube niches. And when I say experience, I mean like we have grown YouTube channels that have generated tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and we have videos that have gone viral in almost every single one of those niches. So we know the levers to pull in order to get content to do well in a broad term, in broad sense. It's not that we work in any specific industry and become specialists at that. We've become overall just really good at YouTube for whoever we work with. So that's kind of our unique value is a combination of like our experience and then also just having done it personally, I know what it feels like mentally, emotionally to go through the ups and downs of being a YouTube creator and having a video do really, really well and get really excited and you get your ego, your head inflates and your ego gets really big and uh and then fall flat on your face because when your next video gets 2,000 views. I know what that feels like. And so I always joke, probably 80% of my job is YouTube therapist with people. It's like talking people off the edge when they want to quit. I'm like, no, 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 just keep going. This is part of the
Yeah,
process. We're gonna be just
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
a unique job.
yeah. I always, again, with so many platforms out there, I see a lot of people that I would say have that misconception of, I create content and then I get viewers and my channel grows and I'm like, yeah, it's not quite that easy, right? I mean, a lot of people have content, a lot of people have good content and but if the length of the video isn't quite right, or if, the people that watch it don't like it, or they don't do the things that help the algorithm, I'm like, there's a lot more that goes into it. I'm like, it's hard to build
Yeah.
a channel on any platform, especially one that is so greatly used like YouTube. So yeah, challenge for sure. And just like anything, building it takes time and effort and strategic planning and all that kind of stuff. So and
Yeah.
when you don't have that success right away, it can be challenging mentally as you're talking about. So
It's like any business, any venture, right? It's like we all want to think that we're the prodigy, that
yeah,
we're just like
yeah,
we can just whatever we touch turns to gold. But for the most part, 99.99999% of us just need to put our 10,000 hours in, right?
yeah,
And if you
yeah,
just do that, and I mean, this is like such a misconception among like I would say the youth, especially like entrepreneurial youth. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make $300,000 next year in my side hustle. I'm like, odds are kind of stacked against you. But if you do this really hard work and
yeah,
you develop a specialized approach to it that no one else has, and you get really good at marketing, you've got a good chance of being successful. Maybe not next year, but 5 years from now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've seen some of the different people that have pretty successful YouTube channels, for example. And I'll scroll through the videos because I always think it's interesting to kind of see, how they're doing it, what they're doing. And so I'll look through the videos and you'll see one video's got 5 million views and the next one's got, like you said, 200,000. It's not like they're all just amazing, right? So, but you do enough of this and you combine it over the long term, then all of a sudden your channel has a lot of views and blah, blah, blah. Then you start to get, results in terms of revenue and so forth. But, so when we talk about marketing, for your business, what's been, because, marketing, I mean, one of the reasons people are probably doing YouTube is to get lead generation. But for you guys, what's been the top marketing strategy? What has brought you guys the most business over time?
Relationship building. So just building me networking, building relationships with influential people, speaking at events, doing webinars, online webinars. anything that puts me in front of people that starts conversations, because we have kind of an education process that we have to put people through in order for them to understand why they need YouTube. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody has heard about YouTube, everybody knows about YouTube, but there is an education process and like, hey, this is how you start a YouTube channel, and this is how you make money from a YouTube channel, or how you get leads from a YouTube channel. And once I can show them that process and how simple it is, and then we'll book calls like crazy. Um, but I would say in addition to that, just kind of being omnipresent has also made a huge impact in our business. Just being able to be present and create social media content that starts conversations. We run ads that start conversations, get people to our email list. We send emails that start conversations. Everything is about engagement and community development in our marketing strategies. And if we can get people talking and asking questions and get them on calls, then we actually do very well at closing new business. It's just a matter of what's the best way to do that. And it's kind of an all-in approach. Everything. Do everything.
Yeah. So getting people to conversations, trying to think of the quote. We had a speaker at one of our global conferences, and I'm trying to think something. Well, the moral of the story was people change or the like conversion through conversations or something like that. I forget the
Yeah.
exact quote, but it was basically like you need conversations, right? Like
Yep.
an email, sure, all this other stuff to start a conversation, but it should be leading to, like you said, a conversation. If you have conversations, then great, you can make sales or you can, help people see that you can educate them on the various pieces so that they might say, hey, sounds like I might need to do this. So yeah, like that you guys are focused on that. Is there one, you mentioned speaking, you mentioned emails, like is there one strategy that would you say helps get to the conversations the best, or is it just all of the above?
So yeah, I would say, our best clients, the ones that we love, they will have seen me give some type of a presentation somewhere. It might be online, it might be in person. And then they'll go and watch my social media. They'll, for the most part, come and watch YouTube, binge watch some of my content, and
Hmm.
then they'll call us. Then they'll schedule a call with us.
Yeah.
So having YouTube, the coolest thing about YouTube, again, is that your videos have an opportunity to get evergreen,
Yes.
just have an evergreen presence, right? So if someone comes to your YouTube channel or they find you, YouTube isn't, and they like you, they engage with your content. YouTube is incentivized to send them more of your stuff,
Yep.
and they'll keep sending them more and more and more of your stuff until they stop engaging, and then they'll taper off. And so if you have a YouTube channel that is built and someone sees you in person and they stumble upon your YouTube channel, they're just going to keep serving your content to them until they stop engaging. The other cool thing is that YouTube finds people who want to engage with your content just off of the platform. I'm like on the platform. And so you build a completely cold audience from the platform. And we've got strategies, to make that to grow YouTube channels a little faster, and strategies for like what should you say in your content in order to get people to book calls. But I would say like organic reach is hands down the hottest lead generation, the hottest lead flow that you'll ever get, because people will have binge watched your content before they book a call.
Yeah.
And just another reason that YouTube is super powerful.
Yeah. Like it. So what about if you look back at your journey, which you mentioned, professional YouTubers or full-time YouTubers or whatever you called it before,
Yeah.
2018, then you guys shifted more to being more the service. So what would you say has been the hardest challenge or maybe the most memorable challenge that you've seen over the years, and how did you overcome
Um, Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's so many challenges. I call it problem ascension, right? It's like if you want to grow in business, all you're doing is just ascending in the problems that you receive. And once you accomplish one, if you want to keep growing, you gotta face another set of problems, because that's how you get
it?
better and more valuable. What's awesome about that is like our muscle memory, our memory of how to solve problems becomes better and better and better after we go through the pain of having to solve those problems, because our natural instinct is to resist pain. So it's like once we figure out how to create a solution that solves a problem, we're like, oh, our brain's like, oh, cool, I'm going to remember this, so I don't have to go through that again because that was terrible. And so we have had so many different problems as we've scaled our business that we've had to overcome. And I would say like I can't point. Well, no, I'd say like team building is probably one of the hardest areas that team building and leadership is probably one of the hardest areas that I've got my teeth kicked in so many times in those areas. Uh, and and it's because not every single person who comes into your team brings with them the same kinds of problems. They all bring in different. So I'll solve for one type of personality, and then I'll hire someone who has a different type of personality that'll bring a completely different set of problems. So I would say, understand going through, we do like Myers-Briggs testing and things like that for our staff now. And then just also not allowing yourself to become so friendly with your team that you forget to be a leader is another thing, because then it creates this effect. I think when you become too friendly of uh, people pleasing, or just not being able to have boundaries. And I want to make sure that I have boundaries with my team and they have boundaries with me that are respected, and we can turn work off and turn personal stuff on. But there are clear lines that are like delineated, so that way we make sure that we're not overstepping ever. That's probably been the biggest thing that we've faced is team building. But again, problem ascension. It's like
Yeah.
I love chaos because it gives me an opportunity to learn something new, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we always talk about how the real question is what problems do you want to have, right? Because
Yeah,
problems don't stop, but you can choose the problems you have, and if you can have bigger problems, then hopefully that it's because you have bigger business or you've got more valuable things going on. And so again, that might be the problems you want to have, which because there's benefits to having big problems. Hopefully there's big
yeah,
solutions out there. So but and then the team side, so um a lot of people. So we'd like to talk about kind of being in this living style that's what we call win-win, which is high self-respect as well as high respect for others. And I think the people-pleasing thing you were talking about, to me, that's the box. If you look at the quad, there's four boxes that go into that. But that's the box where it's high respect for others, but low respect for yourself, potentially. And you could even argue it might be low respect for both of you because I think to some degree, like you said, if you don't have those boundaries, then maybe you're not pushing them to get better. Like
yeah,
you're almost not addressing their challenges, which don't really help them, and it doesn't really help the business. So it's almost kind of a lose-lose. But because we're humans, we like to have, relationships and for good reason. And sometimes that could be the scenario. So yeah, I think it's a common issue that people have is making sure there's a book called Radical Candor. I don't know if you've read it, but
I've
Kim
not.
Scott, I think, is the author, and she talks about that, where you kind of need to have that radical candor so you can add value to your team, and then hey, they can add value to the business, so it's a win-win instead of maybe a lose-lose. So
Yeah.
another question for you: I feel like as we go through these different ascensions of challenges and are progressing our businesses, our beliefs change over time, right? So what would you say has been the top belief change, or what do you think has been a belief that has changed over time that maybe has helped you get where you have got so far?
Um, oh man, that's a really good question. Um I think one of the biggest belief changes that I've had is that everybody thinks like me. Uh I know that this seems like
That
juvenile to think that way.
No, no, no. So that was the belief, is what you're saying?
That was the belief.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, is that everybody can see a vision as clear as I can. Um, you know, but we all kind of have a tendency to drink our own Kool-Aid. And we also through our own belief patterns and perceptions believe that what we're doing at any given moment is the most right way that we should be doing stuff. Um, and it's not until, a couple months or maybe even immediately after that we see the consequences of the decisions that we make, the thoughts that we have. And so what I've realized though is uh, it's kind of like parenting. Um, I didn't realize this. I have four kids. My oldest is 19, my youngest is 8. I didn't realize this until my oldest had like fully kind of gone into teenage years, gone through puberty and the emotional ups and downs of that. Uh, that she was her own person. Because up until that point, I could make them laugh. I could get them to agree with me, because dad could do no wrong. And then and then I realized like she thinks completely differently about a lot of things than I do, and I had to switch the way that I parented in order to uh in order to continue to influence and motivate her in the right ways, right? Obviously, there's like
Mhm.
double-edged sword. You can do things in the wrong way when you're a parent, and heaven knows if have a lot of flaws, but my point is that I think that that really kind of opened my eyes to the fact that not everybody sees the same way that you do. And once I was able to kind of shift the way that I parented, I was also able to shift the way that I lead. And there are people in our company that need a different type and style of leadership. Now, obviously, I can't, we have 30 people in our company. I can't lead them all individually to completely different ways, but the leaders, I can lead the leaders individually. I can give them what they need in order for them to give the rest of the team what they need. And once I realized that, it was kind of eye opening for me. Um, in a sense that it's like to bring the best out of your team, you need to lead them how they need to be led. And some might disagree with that, but I also think that that's a great quality of a good leader is someone who listens and adapts to the people that he wants to get the best out of. He or she wants to get the best out of.
Yeah. The it is very interesting because, like you said, oh, it sounds trivial to think that you realize that people don't think like you do, but it's amazing how I feel like that's a default thinking for all people is like, oh, if I think that way, surely other people think that way, but it's so not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Especially when it
mentioned
comes to
to
politics, right?
yeah, when it comes to all things, but when I mentioned to you I did a team training this past Thursday and went through various topics and one of the topics we went through was disc and we do disc a lot because it helps people realize that hey, this other person is this style and that may not be my style and so maybe they think differently, maybe they have different interests than I do and I should consider that when chatting with them or interacting with them if I want to get a better result in the communication and so we go through all these different topics on that training and we always ask towards the end, hey, what were the biggest learnings that you had? And almost every single one of them was like, yeah, the idea that other people think differently. So like you're saying, hey, this realization, and again, I think we all sort of know it, but we don't know it, right? Like you don't live it until you like get it hammered into you that hey, yeah, just because you think that does not mean the person next to you thinks the same way. In fact, it's very likely they think very different from you. So you need to think
Yeah.
about, what they might be seeing and thinking. And if you can cater to that or adapt, as you said, as a leader, then you're going to get a better result, right? So
Well, the cool part about it, Sean, is like we've had team members where, they have said things directly to me early on that I took offense to, that I was like, why on earth would you talk to me that way? Right. As your boss, why on earth would you talk to me that way? And then after going through Myers-Briggs, or we used to do DISC too, going
yeah,
through DISC, going through Myers-Briggs, and understanding the way their communication style, it clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, that I should not take offense to that. That is literally their communication style. They have a direct, uh, no mincing of words way of talking about things, and your way of talking about things is a lot of times to like make sure you placate, make sure that you soften
yeah,
the blow, and theirs
yeah,
is not that way. And so you shouldn't be offended. You should just understand that as that's the way that they communicate. And so communicate directly back with them.
yeah,
And Game changing, game changing. Anybody who's
Yeah.
not doing that and is leading people is missing out. And I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of amazing. It sounds so obvious, but it's like
Yeah.
it's not obvious. 'Cause it's just the way humans think. But yeah, I went through a 2-year leadership development program at Raytheon where I used to work before I started this business and other businesses.
Yeah.
But and the main thing, we went through, I mean, went through a lot of stuff, a lot of different content, but one of the main things I took away from all that was we did all of these different assessments. We did DISC, we did conflict resolution, we did Myers-Briggs, we did emotional intelligence, we did all these different assessments, but the purpose of doing all these assessments was to realize that, hey, look, there's 15 different styles, there's 6 different styles, there's 4 different styles, there's all these different ways to deal with stuff, and you're in this small segment, right? So like there's a lot of other people out there that do a lot of different things, or they think a lot of differently, or they handle conflict differently, or they do all these other stuff differently than you. And again, the biggest learning was as a leader, you need to be aware of this stuff, right? Like this is all that's out there that you have to be able to navigate through if you want to be influential and successful, right? So you don't have to, but if you do, if you want to be successful or more influential, you probably should look at these things. So I think a lot, as you said, a lot can come from that. So what if you started your business over today, Scott? Right? So given what you know, given what you've gone through, if you started over today, what would you do different?
Hmm. I would, there's not a lot I would do differently, to be honest. I feel like there's a process every entrepreneur needs to go through in order to be successful. You have to learn what's right and what's wrong. You have to ascend in your problems. And if I were to start over, if I were to if I were to go back in time, let's say if I were to go back in time and start again, um, I would still have to learn all that education. And so I in the last 6 years, I've gone through a crash course in so many different topics. Now, if I were to go bankrupt today, heaven forbid, and start from scratch, there are a lot of things that I would do differently. Number one is I would sell productized services as opposed to monthly recurring services. I think that monthly recurring services that require like specialized set of eyeballs are not as scalable as something that's productized that you can just create a product that is housed in SOPs, and then you can teach a team immediately how to follow those SOPs to get the result that we want from our clients. And that is much more scalable than something that's like white glove, high touch, very, very much like requires my eyes on everything.
Yeah,
So, but I wouldn't have been able to get to the point where I realized that had I not gone through that. And I also probably wouldn't have been able to create as good of a product as we're creating now if I
right.
hadn't done 6 years of high touch, white glove, done for you service. So
Yeah,
there is a process, right? And I think that everybody needs to go through just kind of taking that beating. And it's like, it's like a blacksmith, right? You start with a chunk of raw material and you just hammer and hammer and hammer. And every hammer that we take as an entrepreneur is getting us more and more refined, more and more sharpened.
right.
And you have to go through the beating in order to come out the other side a sharp tool.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was more the intent of the question was given all the learning, if you restarted kind of like you said, if you went bankrupt, which like you said, hopefully it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. But if you were, you sounds like you said, hey, basically I would do more productized services that a lot of people could follow. So maybe it's not as high skill, it's kind of lower skill level that a lot of people could duplicate, right? And
Yeah,
sell
yeah, I
those
wouldn't even say like
products.
lower skill. I would say it's it is uniquely valuable, so that way it's not copied.
Easily
It's not
copyable.
it's harder to
Yeah.
copy.
Yes.
And I would focus more on a proprietary SOPs and then just teaching SOPs. Like right now,
Gotcha.
we've developed a software that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's my brain in a tool that anybody can use that allows you to just take content from all over the internet and create new content with it. And and other people can design that tool, but it won't function like mine because I
Yeah.
have a billion views worth of knowledge that we're programming into this tool.
Yep.
So creating products that are proprietary, I think is super um that's where I'd focus all of my efforts. Creating products that are
Cool.
proprietary.
Yeah. It's good learning. Like you said, can't not easily duplicatable,
Yeah,
but uniquely valuable. So it's protected kind of in a way, right? So um
exactly.
good stuff. Well, I appreciate all the insights, Scott. Last question before our last question. If people have more interest or they want to get some more information about your company and what you guys do, how can they get in contact? How can they find more info?
Yeah, so they can either come find me on social. It's I'm Scott Simpson, no P in Simpson, Simson.
Yeah.
And or they can go to raffiti.com, Raffiti. It's graffiti without the G. Raffiti.com.
Nice. Like it, and any special offers you'd like to offer any listeners?
So we have a number of different tools, and I would say if your listeners want to, they can come find me on YouTube. They want to come find me on YouTube. We've got a number of tools that we offer for free that will help you get a leg up on your YouTube efforts, and super super valuable. Everything that we release, we do so with the intention of helping someone. If they do nothing other than use this tool, they will see a return on their free investment. So everything that we offer, we
Nice.
try to make as valuable as possible.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, people would be silly not to go take advantage of those free tools. So, thanks a bunch, Scott, for joining us and sharing some of your insights. Hopefully you guys' audience are listening and got some of the input that Scott was able to give us. And so, thanks for watching, Scott. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, make it a great day.
Thanks, sir.